Alright, post-fight review to the fights this morning. I predicted last night that Hiroto Kyoguchi would win something like a split or majority decision, and now I look like a complete and utter fucking idiot. Why is that the case? Because Kenshiro Teraji went in there and turned in an all-time great performance. Yes, an all-time great performance. I did not stutter. I am not exaggerating my viewpoints. I am not exaggerating what I saw. I did indeed see an all-time great performance this morning. I did. Now, luckily for me, good for me at least, I got the other fights correctly. I picked Nakatani to outpoint Francisco Rodriguez. I thought the referee was, definitely on his dick, trying to basically rescue him and give him every benefit of the doubt imaginable. He was allowed to clinch Rodriguez way too much. However, whenever Rodriguez would commit any semblance, or even if not at all, even just borderline, any indiscretion, he would immediately jump on. It didn't warn Nakatani once in the entire fight, whereas he deducted a point and warned Rodriguez 3 or 4 times throughout the fight, which was just utterly despicable. I got the Jonathan Gonzalez versus Shokichi Iwata fight correct. Most of the people in my circle were actually picking Iwata to win the fight, to outwork him and to outpoint him due to, say, home advantage and also just being the physically stronger and bigger guy, being a bit more athletic, and Jonathan Gonzalez's reputation as a pretty fragile glass cannon type of an opponent. However, he pulled through and won a unanimous decision. Some people dispute it, but I thought he won the fight, to be honest. I thought it was a fair decision. He won 7 rounds to 5, 8 rounds to 4. I feel like a lot of people who are watching the fight were too caught up in his theatrics in the early rounds as opposed to actually examining how the fight was actually going in regards to the effectiveness of both guys' shots. And Iwata really was doing a lot of missing in the early rounds. He was hitting a lot of gloves, a bit of air, and just wasn't really connecting clean. He would land some good hard body shots and even some nice shots over the top and get Gonzalez's attention, but in totality he was not landing consistently enough. Gonzalez's straight left hand was landing all night, and he made a great adjustment once Iwata started to take over a little bit early to mid by taking the fight to the inside, and from that point onwards Iwata was kind of out of answers, but then Gonzalez started to tail off a bit in the last 2 rounds, might have given both of them away, but nevertheless, in my view, he did enough to win the fight. Then you had Yoshino versus Nakatani. I expected the fight to go to points, but Yoshino stopped him in the 5th round. Nakatani still has skills and was still able to give him some real issues, but his chin is gone. The Teofimo Lopez fight basically ruined him, and he needs to retire. Thank heavens for his Japanese genes, or else the dude would be in a wheelchair, eating out of a straw right now, basically. Put it like that. But on to the main event. Kyoguchi versus Teraji. Now, Teraji, in my view, I said if he had better defense, he would probably... I'd favor him to win the fight. But I felt as though his mistakes in previous fights would come back to bite him here against a high-caliber opponent. It turned out I misassessed the fight. And also, Kenshiro performed a bit better than I thought and made certain improvements before the fight, but I believe in totality I didn't assess the fight correctly and undermined certain aspects of the fight that I knew were there, but I didn't account for to a great enough amount. Kenshiro just beat the hell out of him, really. He went in there, used great defense, with his footwork especially. Now, I stated that his defense largely comes from his footwork, and even though he wasn't using a ton of head movement, he was using his extended guard to get complete lead hand control throughout the fight. His footwork, he was just simply way too fast for Hiroto Kyoguchi. Kyoguchi was trying to counterpunch during the fight, and he did find success here and there, but the dude was just too fast. I mean, getting in and out with his shots, I mean, by the time Kyoguchi could land a shot, he had already basically traversed in and out of range 2-3 times by the time Hiroto can even land one hook to the body. And he was piecing him up. He was landing a lot of body shots. He was dominating the fight with his jab. He was far too active for Kyoguchi. And even though he had the momentary success here and there, Kenshiro's control of distance and just complete offensive dominance in his output was just banking him round after round. In round 5, he dropped Kyoguchi. And then Kyoguchi actually came back with an uppercut and managed to stun Kenshiro near the end of the round. Now, Kenshiro doesn't have amazing punch resistance. It's not bad, but it's not great either. We did see him get knocked out by Ibuki, but we have also seen him get hurt by guys like Hisada. But once again, he could just see Kyoguchi's punches coming from a mile away. His reflexes were far too good, and he wasn't getting hit flush on the chin very much throughout the fight, because he was defending his head very well, and his extended guard was reaching pretty much parallel with his chin. But into the 7th round, Kenshiro, the 6th round was very, very good, but Kenshiro took that round too. 7th round, he landed a combination, initiated with the right hand, and knocked Kyoguchi basically through the ropes, or almost through the ropes, until the referee did a phenomenal job rescuing him from basically landing flat on his neck and stopped the fight. Honest to God, in my time watching boxing, live fights, I have never seen a performance this dominant over this caliber of opponent. Now, I've seen guys like Naoya Inoue run through, top-level opponents in 1-2 rounds, but I mean, the combination of a devastating finish and a complete tactical mismatch that this was, and Kyoguchi heading into the fight as a ring champion, as the consensus number 1 in the division, being a multi-weight champion, holding wins over like Argumedo and Heki Butler and Bermudez and Pardas and people like that, heading into the fight with the body of work and the reputation that he had built as probably a top 20 to 15 pound-for-pound fighter, having established himself to have been able to beat even bigger guys, and just not even losing a fucking round in the fight and managing to knock him out. This performance, in my view, is historically great. The dude looked like Ricardo Lopez reincarnated. Maybe even better. I mean, that performance was the greatest performance I've ever seen at light flyweight. I dare any of my listeners to please find me a light flyweight fight. And I know a lot of people, in Western society don't really follow the division. A lot of people cared for the fight, hence why it was a near packed out 40,000 capacity arena. For those of you who do cover light flyweight, I seriously dare you to find a performance as good as what Kenshiro posted. Oh my god. What Kenshiro posted this morning. In fact, let me take it one step further. Find a strawweight performance in a world title fight that exceeds what Kenshiro just did. At flyweight, maybe you could find... Please, I cannot think of a single one. I've never seen a performance at those, bottom 2 weight categories as good as what Kenshiro just did. I haven't seen a performance this year that has reached what Kenshiro did. Not Bivol Canelo. The stylistic matchup between Bivol Canelo was basically the same as this, but Kenshiro was just even more dominant than Bivol was. Chocolatito Martinez, he dominated Martinez, but he didn't stop him early. He actually went the distance. I'm truly dumbfounded, and I'm actually reconsidering, this fight made me look so stupid. It actually makes me reconsider, my entire philosophy on life. But at the same time, if I could trade a correct prediction, or if I could trade this performance and what I just witnessed with getting the fight correct and Kyoguchi winning like a split decision, I wouldn't change the hands of time. So there's really not much else I can say. Kenshiro, in my view, top 8, top 7 fighter in the world. I mean, there's only a handful of guys I could say are better than him in boxing, period. Usyk, Inoue, Choco, who else? Yeah, that's it. Now have a nice day.